Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to read an article. Again, a lot of this stuff gets brushed under the mat, and news agencies just don't talk about stuff like this. And this comes from the Christian Post. And before we start, like, subscribe, share. Those are the best things you can do to help this channel grow and get it going. So let's jump into this. This comes in China. Everything always happens in China when it pertains to Christians. But look at this. It says, police arrest 10 kids, 18 adults in raid on worship gathering. And they actually arrested a 1-year-old as well. How crazy is this? Just because someone wants to worship God. Who cares? Like, I don't see the big deal in this. And, I live in America, and, I believe that anyone should be able to, worship who you want. I believe I'm right and everyone else is wrong, but hey, that's my decision. But, you go down the road and you'll see 10 different kinds of churches. And look, you can believe and worship whoever you want. I'm not stopping anyone. But I think this is complete insanity. This comes back to indoctrination. This is what China is doing right now. And I believe that the majority of the China people are awesome people, the Chinese people. It's just the government overstepping and they're being authoritarians on this stuff. But check this out. This is insane. Police in China raided a small group, and this isn't the first time they've done this either. They've been doing this for a long time. Police in China raided a small group of Christian worshippers from a heavily persecuted house church in southwestern China's Sichuan province and arrested almost everyone, listen to this, including an infant less than 1-year-old, 9 children, and 18 adults. Officers from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, from the Shenghua office forcibly entered the home of a church member, He Xuan, where the small group of Early Rain Covenant Church was meeting for worship on Sunday, CBN News said. The police claim to have received a call reporting an illegal gathering there. The church wrote on its Facebook page, persecution watchdog International Christian Concern reported, identifying the gathering as the Treading Water small group and the preacher as Dao Zishou. Preacher Dao asked the officers to show proper documents, but the police ignored him and forcibly entered Brother He's home. In the process, the preacher was injured on his arm, as were other men who tried to help. His phone was also confiscated, ICC said. A church member told ICC that many people were beaten by the police after being held in detention. When the children were rowdy, the police officers threatened to hit them on their heads, ICC said. Police later released most of them, but the preacher and Brother He were put under administrative detention for 14 days. Brother He also received a fine of 1,000 RMB, 154 bucks. And it's amazing to me how, I don't even know if I should go on a tangent about that. It's crazy to me. You have all these big corporations. Maybe I'll go into this. Yeah, so things like the NBA, and these guys are, a lot of these people are such for human rights. Yet you see all this stuff that's happening in China with the human trafficking. You see what they're doing with the Uyghur population and the organ harvesting. And yet, since the China has such a big influence and pays these big corporations money, all these players and athletes, all these people, they don't say anything. But they'll shut down and try to talk about anything that's happening in the U.S. But since China is paying these guys millions of dollars, no one bats an eye and talks about these things. It's completely insane. Open Doors USA, which monitors persecution in over 60 countries, estimates that there are about 97 million Christians in China, a large percentage of whom worship in what China considers to be illegal and unregistered underground house churches. Completely insane. Again, I believe, I'm in the U.S., you can believe and worship whoever you want. We have freedom of speech here. But I believe, this, and the Bible tells us through that Christians are the number one persecuted people. And again, you can worship, do whatever you want, but it's just insane to me how much this happens to the Christians. Over 2 years ago, authorities shuttered the 5,000-member church ERCC. They broke down the doors of church members and leaders' homes and arrested more than 100 people. Police continue to harass and track church members, according to a recent report from the U.S.-based group China Aid. ERCC, led by Pastor Wang Yi, has not been able to gather in person since it was shut down in 2018 when its pastor and other leaders were arrested. Wang was later sentenced to 9 years just for preaching, wow, on charges of subversion of power and illegal business operations. Gina Go, ICC's regional manager for Southeast Asia, commented the latest raid against ERCC, though nothing novel, shows a worrying trend that house churches are frequently subjected to harassment like this in the name of law enforcement, where legally flawed, revised regulations on religious affairs have been employed by Beijing to crack down on house churches around the country. Go added that the Chinese, that we'll say CPP, constant fear of unregistered churches is both pathetic and preposterous, as it underscores Xi Jinping's insecurity toward any critical mass. There's absolutely no regard for religious freedom. Go previously said Beijing seeks to intimidate the leaders in hopes that the churches will dissolve due to fear. Their plot will not succeed thanks to the resiliency of the Chinese house church. They survived the Cultural Revolution and they will survive Xi's era as well. Under the direction of Xi, officials from the CCP have been enforcing strict controls on religion, according to a report released in March by China Aid. Authorities in China are also cracking down on Christianity by removing Bible apps and Christian WeChat. I actually did a video on this a few weeks back. Just by having the Bible app, they completely got rid of it. And there's another video I put out too. I think it was Saudi Arabia. It was one of those countries out there, and they're literally knocking. It was the Afghanistan that just happened. They're knocking door to door, and if you had that Bible app on your phone, you would be disappeared. Completely crazy. Removing Bible apps and Christian WeChat public accounts as new highly restrictive administrative measures on religious staff went into effect this year. China is ranked on Open Doors USA's World Watch List as one of the world's worst countries in the world when it comes to the persecution of Christians. The U.S. State Department has also labeled China as a country of particular concern for continuing to engage in particular severe violations of religious freedom. So you've got them and a few other countries that are awful when it comes to this stuff. So that's it. I just want to keep people up on the news. I think it's important. Not enough people talk about this, what's going on in the world with Christians, and it's pretty horrific what's happening. And this is just a start. Things are going to keep getting worse. So that's it, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.